Hello and welcome to episode 17 of Unstoppable Marketing and Mindset with me, MG. I'm your host, marketing and mindset coach for women who want to be fucking unstoppable in business and who do not mind an F-bomb every now and again. So if that describes you, you're in the right place. And this episode, I am spilling the tea on why I burnt down half of my business overnight just last week. And while I say overnight, I did do this overnight, but it was a decision that was coming. I could see that this decision was coming, and it was just one of those moments in the middle of the night where you go, okay, I just need to do this. And I think as a manifesting generator, I'm the kind of person that once I make a decision, I just go for it because I know that my sacral is telling me this is what I need to do. And it served me well, even if it's been scary. So let me share a little bit of background. If you listened to episode 13, I talked about how creating space led me to this incredible new vision. And a bit of background to that was that earlier in the year, I started to realize there was this undercurrent within me that I just wasn't fully satisfied with what I was doing in my business. And I didn't quite know what it was. And going away to Queensland, having space away from my usual environment, away from my kids, away from all of the things that you usually just get bogged down in, gave me the space to come up with a new vision. And most of you, if you follow me, you know what that vision is. It turned into the movement, which now has a new name that I'm going to announce today. So obviously the women in that group know what that is, but the public don't yet. So I'm excited to share that with you today. But really, what led to that was, as I mentioned, this undercurrent. And this year's been really interesting. You know, I think a lot of people came into this year with certain expectations because the last few years have just been such a shit show. And I was one of them. And so my goals for this year were really big, but they were really a lot of the same of what I was doing, but scaling. And instead, when I look at what I was offering at the beginning of the year, it is completely different to what I'm offering now. So it's like my whole life and business has done a 180 on me, and that's okay. But really, you know, I was on holiday for the first month of the year in January, and that was awesome. You know, like I was still able to make a really decent living while I was on holiday, which was so cool to be able to get to that point in my business where I can go away for a whole month. And I think I had maybe 2 coaching calls in that whole month and still generated 20K in my business, or 25K, which was just amazing. And then in February, we moved. So we moved 450 kilometers up the road from Albany, which is a country town, up to Perth, the big smoke in Western Australia. And, you know, hubby and I, we've moved many, many, many times. The thing we worked out, we've been together, we've been married 10 years next year. But we've been together for like 13, 14 years, and we've lived in over 10 houses. So we've moved a lot. We thought we would just nail it and, you know, like pretty much the transition would happen overnight. But it has actually taken some time because we haven't lived in the city for such a long time. We haven't lived in the city for 8 years. So it was a really big transition. And then on top of that, me working in my business going, I like what I'm doing, but there's something missing. And seeing the economy change and seeing people's buying patterns change made me think, you know what? It's actually time to look at what I really want to do, what really lights me up, and maybe it's time to make a pivot. And that's what led me to that episode 13, where I shared my vision around the movement, which has really taken off. So I launched it to 33 women. I actually had 35 join. I only sent links out to people that asked me for the link, but by the time I'd sent the link out to everyone and then people joined, it ended up over 33. So I truly had intentionally chosen the number 33, but we oversold because more people had the link. And once people were in, there was no way I was going to be like, sorry, you were too late, I'll give you a refund, now you need to get out. No, there's no way I was going to do that. So oversold that launch, which was incredible. And the community is amazing. It's the first time that I have gone into a community and not had really clear, specific expectations within the community. I've had the big vision and I still have the big vision, but I wanted the community to come up with the specifics. And that's really scary because as a leader of this and wanting it to go really well, I have to lead in a completely different way. For example, the name that we've come up with for the movement was a collective decision. And it went through a process of brainstorming words and what those words mean to us, and everything down to, okay, well then how do we put those together? How do we make sure that it's unique? How do we make sure that it really speaks to what it is that we're wanting to create? And of course, not everyone is happy with the outcome. Most people are, because we did a vote. But of course, in any voting situation, there's always people on the outside of that. And how do I, as a leader, really lead people down the path of recognizing that they're contributing to something beyond themselves? And sometimes that means that there's a bit of give and take. So it's been an incredible journey. Only in the last, we haven't even been going for a month, and there's been so much happening. And I could see that the community is really ready for this to take off. So I was asking myself one night that, can I make this happen with everything else that I have going on in my life and my business? And I made the decision after a few weeks of thinking about it, but I made the decision one night. I was lying in bed, not able to sleep, and there was just that gut feeling that it was time to drop my key program, the Unstoppables. A lot of you will know me for the Unstoppables. Whenever I go places, people know me as Mrs. Unstoppable, or they've seen me at that point where I dressed up as Mrs. Unstoppable for launching the Unstoppables. And I have invested the last 20 months of my life and my business into the Unstoppables as a high-level mastermind, which is a combination of group and one-to-one coaching. So because of that, it takes a lot of my time and my energy, and I love the group and it's been absolutely phenomenal. But I can also see that my energy is split. And I'm a very big believer that you can do anything, but you cannot do everything at once. So I made that decision. And that next day, I had a meeting with my team, Nicole and Cara, and I told them. One of them was surprised, the other one wasn't, which was hilarious, because when I've told people, it's been really split. Some people have been like, oh my gosh, what? And other people have been like, oh yeah, I could see that, because they could see the movement had been going so well. And maybe that's where I was going to go and put my energy. But what's really scary about this is that the Unstoppables is literally half of my business. That's half of my revenue. So overnight, I cut out half of my revenue. And that's not always a good business decision. Let me make that really fucking clear. So even though I made it overnight, there was still a few weeks before I'd made that decision that I was kind of calculating what this could look like. And I want to speak into my privilege here. I'm very privileged that I have got a husband that earns pretty good money, and that we are financially stable enough for me to be able to make this decision, knowing that if I don't pay myself for the rest of the year, that we would actually be okay. Now, that's not ideal. I still would like to pay myself. And I actually think it's really important to pay yourself, even if it's just a small amount of money when, your revenue is limited. But I know that I need to put a lot of money into the business right now. So part of the project that I'm working on with the movement is to do with AI. So I am now also investing quite a significant amount of money into artificial intelligence that's going to help to drive this project so that it can be accessible coaching for everyone. And so that's a risk too, right? I'm investing a heap of money, more than I've ever invested before, while also taking a big hit to my revenue. So while this was a quick decision, relatively speaking, it also was calculated and also was from a place of recognizing I have a privilege. And you know what? I believe that my privilege is a power that I need to use for good. So if I can sacrifice a few things for myself in the next 4 months with the vision that next year I'm going to have this epic tool for everyone to be able to access it at an affordable price, that's going to mean they can grow their business without forking out thousands and thousands of dollars just to get the piece of information that they need, just to get the training they need, the modules, the resources, the connections, the lessons that they need, then I will fucking happily do it, because my own sacrifice is nothing compared to what other people are having to sacrifice. Now, I'm not gaslighting myself and, whatever, okay? I also do think that probably what will happen is, because I've closed a door, other doors will open, and I generally get the feeling that revenue is going to come through anyway, even if I don't know how. I've done this before, and that's what happens. But even if it doesn't, I know I'm going to be okay, and I know that it's absolutely worth it. So I'm really grateful for my privilege to be able to do that, and I want to use that for good. I want to use that to really use AI as a tool to reach more people and to help more people with their business. And I really think that's possible, even if I don't 100% know how yet, but I am working on that. And I'm working with the incredible Dr. Nikki Sweeney, who is a data scientist who is going to be helping bring that to life. So very, very excited about that. And I know I've mentioned her, pretty sure I've mentioned her in the podcast. I've definitely mentioned her in my emails, because her vision is also really incredible around bridging the gap between men and women in that industry. so that we can actually get ahead. Because if you're feeling a little bit afraid about AI, I just want you to consider that things that are scary are really important for us to get to know better. It's kind of like keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And the reason for that is because then you're informed, you're knowledgeable, you know what's going on. You can't be tricked so easily. And we want AI to be in the hands of the right people because it's going forward anyway, right? We want the AI to be in the hands of the right people so that the right things can happen as a result of the technology advancing. And that's what I want to be in front of. And the potential is fucking huge. So let's go back to this big decision, okay? Because what leads to a decision like this to cut 50% of my revenue? I mean, obviously this year has kind of led to it. And I've talked about this year being one of those years where I've gone, oh, I'm just going to rip the carpet out from underneath me in so many ways. But I think the AI technology that I'm seeing has really given me a lot of insight as to what is to come. And I truly believe that what we're seeing right now is a massive change in the world that we either get on board with or we get left behind. And so that's why I think it's worth taking the risk. You know, when wars have happened in the past, World War I and World War II have happened in the past, that's when we've had some of the biggest technological advancements in history, right? And what happened in the last few years was COVID, which in a way was like a war. And depending on which way you look at it, but in so many ways, it was like a war. And this has allowed technology to advance in ways that it wouldn't have before. So I truly see this as being one of the pivotal moments in my lifetime to get on board with, because I could use this for so many people's benefit. I shared an article recently on my Instagram stories, and I just want to read the quote that I shared. It was from a CNBC article, and the quote is, AI will be the greatest wealth creator in history because artificial intelligence doesn't care where you were born, whether you've got money, or whether you have a PhD. It's going to destroy barriers that have prevented people from moving up the ladder and pursuing their dream of economic freedom. Just pause and take that in for a moment. And when I read that, I was just thinking to myself, exactly that. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Because anyone can access AI at the moment. Anyone can learn it. And if you can do that and utilize it in a really effective way, you could change your life, you could change the life of the people around you, and you could be a part of a huge change in the world. And who doesn't want to be a part of that? One more concern that I know has come up for quite a few people, especially when I sent out my email talking about the M-bot that is getting created, is the concern around taking the humanness out of things. So I want to touch on that quickly. And I mean, this is really nothing to do with why I burnt half of my business down overnight, but I want to talk into this because I know as I speak about AI in the future and my reason for choosing to do this, people are like, but you know, what about the human M? We want the real MG. That's so funny, the real MG rather than the bot MG. And I understand that. The thing is, what if AI could actually give us more time and space in our lives to have those real human connections? What if that was possible? What if it's AI that's going to be the very thing that connects us with the things we need to truly live out our human life? I think that's possible, and I'm here for that, because AI could make our lives easier. It could make certain things easier in our lives, which then gives us space and capacity for more human connection. So the way I see it is that instead of me having to scale a massive program where I'm the leader and I'm doing lots of group coaching, which is what I've been doing in the Unstoppables, is I can actually do more one-to-one coaching, because I fucking love one-to-one coaching. If I have this low-cost offer that's allowing people to access my resources, to access me in a way that is really scalable, but also access each other to help each other, while then having one-to-one coaching for people that are, first of all, able to afford it, because that's the privileged, okay? But second of all, people that are really ready to make that big investment. I'm not trying to push people that are uncertain about making the investment. It's people that are really ready, and then they get me more one-to-one because I have got the time, because I'm not trying to coach 100 people in a group. I'm serving them in a different way that still allows them to get results, that still allows them to have support, and more and more and more of them, because I've got AI behind the scenes helping with that process. So I can see that me being the visionary of that can then allow me to have more time for small, intimate groups or one-to-one. And that to me sounds like a fucking brilliant business model, because I get to work with people that can't afford me one-to-one, but also people that can, and everyone benefits. Everyone benefits. And that just sounds brilliant to me. I want to share the name of the movement, because I've just mentioned the movement, and it's not actually called the movement anymore. I called it the movement to get it off the ground, which was awesome, because what we're doing in the movement is a movement. It's changing the way we are going to learn and connect through business. And I'm very excited about it. But we couldn't call it the movement because that's not trademarkable. It's not clear enough. It kind of sounds like it could be about exercise. There was someone that said it sounded like bowel movements. We don't want to be associated with bowel movements. That's not fun. So we started brainstorming names, and the name that the movement is now going to be called, and I have the URL and the Instagram account to prove it, which I will put for the first time in the show notes here. Introducing the Biz Revolution. Rebel-ution, okay? So not revolution, revolution. So it's got a B in there, obviously, because it's like we're rebelling against the way things were. It's a revolution in the way that we're growing and learning together. And I'm really fucking excited about that name. I also want to give credit where credit is due, because Jay from Muse Copywriting actually mentioned this word just kind of casually. And obviously she's a wordsmith, so she's just mentioned this word casually as we were having a conversation at a lunch one day. And I looked at her and I went, that's the word. Now, obviously it then had to go to the community and we had a vote, and there were a lot of different names that came up. I'll share some of them with you. One of them was the Fierce Uprising. So we really liked the word uprising and fierce. So we were thinking of that. And also that kind of gave us the acronym, the FU. So the fuck you, which works really well for my branding, but also this is separate to me. So it didn't need to be about the FU kind of vibe. And the other one we had was the Omni Effect. So Omni means all, and affect is impact. So affect with an A, meaning the verb, like we're actually doing things, not effect, which is past tense. So that was a really cool name as well. That didn't quite make it through the voting system. So the Biz Revolution it is. And now our next step is to get to work on creating a credo. So that's what I'm working on in the next week, or when this goes live, it'll be the week of this with the group. We're coming up with our group credo. So like our agreements. And finally, from there, we're going to be determining some experts to be our revolution experts. So from next year, and I haven't even told the revolution this yet, I will tell them before this podcast goes live. From next year, the Biz Revolution is going to have 11 experts in 11 different areas of business, so that you have got experts on tap. $97, and you have got 11 experts on tap, including the incredible economy that's already in there of amazing humans in business, including all of the resources, the modules, the lessons that I've ever created, plus more that's going to be added to that space, including an incredible chatbot to help you navigate through all of those resources and find what it is you need to take your business to the next level. Holy shit. How am I making this possible? With the community. So the community is going to be helping me to determine who those experts need to be. Who do we need on our team, in our business, to help us? And these experts aren't going to be, available for 100 Zoom calls a day, obviously, but they will be in the group to answer quick questions in every area of business that you might need help with. So that's going to be our next step together as a community, to determine who those experts need to be based on, what we need help with in our businesses. And I think that is going to be a huge point of difference to what a lot of other programs have as well. So if you're thinking it's just about the chatbot and it's all about AI, it's not. It's really community driven. The AI is going to be a huge part of it to ensure that it's accessible, to ensure that it runs really smoothly behind the scenes and allows you to make the most of it and really squeeze every juice out of the revolution that you, every drop of juice out of the revolution that you possibly can. But it's really, the heart of this is the community and the connections that we can make and the support that you can get for an extremely accessible price. Now, for that matter, there's probably people listening to this right now who aren't in the biz revolution and thinking, fuck, I really need to be in there. So I do want to let you know that you will be able to join next month in September. I will open the doors for just 20 people. I'm not creating a wait list. You just need to follow along. Okay. There's no wait list. I got way too many things to do right now. I don't have time to create a wait list, and I know those 20 spaces will go. So please make sure you're following my socials, following my emails if that's something that you're interested in, because that'll be your last chance to join this year. The rest of this year for me is all about setting up this epic fucking website, recording a shit ton of content, because I already have a shit ton of content, but I want to fill some gaps, getting all of the experts sorted, getting the credo sorted, getting the branding sorted, so that in January, we're going to have an absolutely huge launch. It's going to be massive, and I'm not going away in the month of January this time. So I will have the time and space to actually launch it and absolutely nail it, so that 2024 can be for everyone in the biz revolution an absolute fucking epic year. And even after 2024, I already have plans. I've got road trip plans to go all around Australia and New Zealand to connect everyone in the biz revolution together face to face. I have qualification plans. I have sponsorship plans, scholarships, and charity plans. It's fucking huge what I'm planning to do with this. And so you can see why, you know, there was definitely a reason to burn down half of my business if it meant that I can really step into being the leader of this incredible vision, which I really hope you want to be a part of. If you don't right now, I guarantee you will want to be in the near future, because you're going to start seeing what we're doing, how it's going. Even when you just start seeing the chatbot, Mbot, you're just going to be like, fuck, I just want to see this in action, right? So if you join, if you're in there now, or if you join in September, you will get to be one of the very first testers of that chatbot, and you'll be able to say, Emily, this bot is shit, or Emily, this bot is amazing, and we're going to be able to adapt it, and it's going to keep being adapted, really, because every friggin' day AI is changing. And so Dr. Nikki she's a lifer, she's part of the revolution, and she's going to be a part of this process as that AI changes for however long. You know, the amazing thing about AI is that it's forever moving, and we need to keep moving with it. But it also means that we're going to need to update it. And that is absolutely a huge commitment of mine with this too. It's not just a set and forget. It's like, let's keep updating and let's keep learning and let's keep growing together. Well, I feel like I have covered everything. I'm looking at my list. I'm like, holy shit, I just did a massive download, I feel like, with everything that I just shared. I know that as you're listening, you know, you might have questions, and I'm so open for any of those questions. So please just drop into my DMs. Best place to do that is Instagram, and just ask me any questions that you have. I'm a very open book. You know, even just sharing this business idea before it's fully come to life is a risk, because I know that there's people that could go, that's a great idea, I'm going to go do that. Cool, go for your life. I know that I'm going to be one of the first to do it. And I know that, well, you know, I say one of the first, I actually don't know anyone else doing this. There might be. Please tell me if you know anyone that is doing exactly this. I really don't think there is. But everyone brings their own flavor. You know, I really don't believe in competition. I hugely believe in collaboration. And I believe that there is a program, there is a person, there is an application for everyone, whatever it may be. And if someone else was to copy what I'm doing, good luck to them, you know, absolutely good luck to them. And that's why I haven't just kept this like hidden in a little black book. I've shared a lot, and that's a risk too, but it's absolutely a risk I'm willing to take. I want to take you on the journey. I want this also for accountability, because if I tell you I'm doing it, then I've got to fucking do it. And I want people to know what's possible. So you can start thinking about, what could I do in my business? You know, how could I implement AI in my business to give my customers or clients an even better experience? Because I guarantee you there is. I'm going to stop there, because I could waffle on about this topic for such a long time. Like, you might regret if you do message me and ask me questions, because I might just not stop talking. In fact, you'll probably get a voice message back, because it's way too hard for me to type as fast with my thumbs as how fast I think. So I'd still love a message from you, but just be prepared. Be prepared. I'm very inspired and very motivated by this right now. And I hope that listening to this has also given you some inspiration and motivation to embrace AI, or embrace a decision that you need to make in your business. I will be back here next week with an episode with the incredible Jamie Abbott, actually. She is coming into the Biz Revolution in November to share a 90-minute workshop on getting highly paid to speak. And I just did my interview with her a few days ago and it was phenomenal. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast so that you get a notification when that comes out. And if you have found this episode inspiring and you want to share it with someone, I would greatly appreciate it. Go and share it, or, take a screenshot, tag me in it, let me know what your biggest takeaway is. Do something, a little bit of support here and there is always welcome. And otherwise, I will see you back here next week. Peace out. I'm MG. Mwah.